Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Another episode this week, another special guest. I'm proud to introduce you to the Phantom, the Ghost. That everybody knows his name because of the car, but they probably don't know Bill. This is Bill Kohl, owner and builder of Ja Rules or EDWIN'S INTEGRA and the first movie. Good to see you, Bill. It's been a while.
Good to see you, Craig. It's great to connect again with you.
Let's talk about first just the basic specs of the car. It was a 1996 GSR.
Acura Integra GSR. It was a stock motor, and we did some modifications to it through New Speed and through AEM, but basically we didn't rebuild the whole engine.
So as I recall, it was cam gears and a 4-into-1 header kind of thing,
yes,
right? That kind of deal?
right.
Okay. The modifications of the car you had pretty much done to follow the Honda Accord of Randy Post, yeah?
That's correct. I went to Bill Newman because I met Randy Post and Bill Newman at the SUPRA Touring support race for the Long Beach Grand Prix, and I went to Bill and said, here's a marketing and advertising proposal, and I didn't want to buy an Accord. I wanted a fast but reasonably priced sports car, and at the time the Acura Integra was the fastest and the most reasonably priced sports car that we could get. So and the Acura's part of the Honda family.
Sure.
So I went to Bill and said, look, here's what we can do, and we can duplicate the car. We can take it to SEMA, which we did for 3 or 4 years. And it turned out to be a great project. Bill was easy to work with. Randy Post was wonderful. And so we basically took his car number and all the parts that AEM had, or that New Speed had, also AEM, and Polk Audio, and the Momo seats, and we made a show race car out of it.
Right. So you were doing it mostly for show, right?
We never raced it because you got too much money into it.
Of course, yeah.
And I wanted it to look like a show car, not a race car that looks good from 12 feet away. And it was an interesting story when we went to Universal Pictures to see if they even wanted to use the car. Rob Cohen looked at me, and he looked at the car, and he said, and he kind of frowned at me, and he said, "Is that your car?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Us old guys can do this too, you know. You don't have to be a teenager." So he fell in love with it, and so we were lucky enough to get into the movie.
Yeah. So as I recall, he basically looked at it and said, "This is Edwin's car."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He right away said Edwin's car, which, as we all know, was driven by Ja Rule.
Right.
The famous rap artist. So yeah, it was exciting.
So how did you feel about that? What was going through your mind when they said, we're going to take this car and make it a movie car? It was still called Red Line at the time, of course, so
yes.
We didn't know what this was going to be. So how did it feel?
It was really exciting. I was just a little bit nervous whether they were going to drive, were they going to make some duplicates just in case they crashed the car, or were they going to drive my car, which they did some of, but it was just exciting to be part of the whole thing, because I've never been part of a movie or seen the real life action of making a very interesting and exciting movie.
So we know that there was at least one other Integra because it carried over to Too Fast, Too Furious in
Right.
Florida and was painted dark red. But the VIN list that we have, there's evolutions of the VIN list. Some of them are incomplete from the first movie. We don't have like the third page of the VIN list. So I don't know if there was 3 Integras or 2. We know there were 2 for sure, but the VIN list only shows 1, so it's pretty interesting. So fast forward a bit. The car gets cast, and then it goes to set. There's a bunch of pictures that you provided to the new owner, Gabriel Tremblay, Fast and Furious Integra on Instagram. And he's got all these pictures on set that no one's ever seen before. And so you were clearly on set taking pictures. What was that experience like being on set? What kind of things did you see on set?
We got a chance to meet all the actors and all the producers and watch them filming. And it was just really, to me, it was exciting and a great experience that very few people ever get a chance to see or experience.
So I wasn't there every night. So when they did the drag race, the 4-way drag race, you were there that night, right?
Yeah, I was there every night that they filmed the drag race with the 4 main cars in the beginning.
So how much of your car did they use?
I think they used my car for I think most of that drag race.
You got to meet the actors and the actresses. There's a picture of you standing behind Rob Cohen and the girl, you know, the menage scene and all that.
Yeah.
So there's a picture of you, the picture that you took, the back end of that Gabriel's going to give to me. I think I've already posted it. But so you're standing there watching all this all night, and you're hanging out with all these young people. What was the reception to the cars on set?
It was just an unreal experience for somebody who's never been around a movie, never been around the Hollywood scene. It was really exciting.
So you got to hobnob with the actors and all that. And then also we did the press junket before that. So we have the screening for us, the private screening for us, the car owners and a few select people.
Right.
Then we have the cinema showing at Santa Monica for cast and crew. Then we have the Hollywood premiere, but just before that, there was an event called the Press Junket. It was about 2 weeks before or a week before. And all the journalists came to the back lot at Universal Studios. Do you remember this?
Yes.
So you were there, RJ was there, all the car owners were there, all the cars were there, and the cars were parked in an alley, and the actors would come over and sit and talk to different press there. So
and they actually interviewed me about the car there. And asked about some of the modifications and who built this and where did it come from and what was the background and history. And that was an all-day event, which was really exciting because there you got to meet the actors and actresses in a low-key setting, so you could actually talk to them as opposed to just being able to say hi for 2 seconds.
Right. We all, we sat down in the mess tent, the food tent or catering tent or whatever they call it. So we all got to hang out, and there's pictures of us sitting at a table, and right behind us is Paul Walker and that kind of stuff. So, like you said, for I think all of us that was there, it was just a surreal experience. I don't think we all appreciated what it was at the time, because candidly, we didn't know if this thing was going to go straight to DVD. So then, how old was your son at the time?
I'm sorry?
How old was your son at the time?
He was probably 30.
30, okay. So then the movie comes out, right? And you still have your car when the movie came out, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So the movie comes out and it's a runaway hit. What was your feeling about that? How did you react to that?
I was really excited about that because it was a successful project. It's something we all got to participate in. The car was in the movie. Ja Rule drove it. Rob Cohen was extremely nice and cordial to me and to the other car owners, and I just realized that here's an opportunity to take this car and then sell it after the movie came out at auction, because I realized if I didn't sell it right away where it was hot and people had a lot of interest, then I'd lose a lot of the value that we put into the car.
Yeah, and so now it's come full circle again. After in the mid 2000s, the movie just kind of fell off the map a little bit, and Tokyo Drift, it kind of went down a different path, and the values started to go down on these cars. And then it was only more recently after Paul died that the values just shot up.
Right.
So, but after the movie, you're driving around in this movie car, and a lot of people see it. So they have. Sorry. So you're driving around in this movie car, and you're not the typical Acura Integra GSR with graphics on the side kind of owner, right?
Right.
Just like I was on my Supra driving around that thing. What was the reaction when young people pull up next to you? What was your funniest experience?
I don't know. People would look at me. At that point, I was 60 years old, and just wonder, who is this guy? This old guy, if you want, that's got this teenage car, and it looked like a race car. So it was.
Everybody wanted to race.
Everybody wanted to race. Everybody wanted to see it, and it was an exciting experience.
What did your wife think? Did she ever drive around with you in the car and you go somewhere and you get mobbed by a bunch of kids?
No, because once we put the racing seats in the car, and everything else. I mean, my wife lost interest in it almost right away because she couldn't drive it.
Yeah, you can't get in over the high bolsters in a racing seat, that
Right.
kind of thing. So do you regret selling it? Do you miss it at all?
It's just a little, but you know, you got to move on, and if you keep it too long, then you lose the value in it because people forget about the movie, and but I miss not having it, but you know, it's in good hands with Gabriel, and so it's,
What did it sell for at auction? Do you remember?
yeah, I think we sold for about around 35,000.
Wow, so cheap, so cheap.
Yeah, and
It's crazy.
and obviously I had a lot more in it, but I had great sponsors from Newspeed, AEM, Polk Audio, Momo, and
Pirelli or Toyo, I forget which one.
and the Pirelli tires, and so I got a lot of help, and it went to SEMA for 4 years, and displayed in Newspeeds and Polk Audio and Momo's booth. So that was another exciting experience too.
So you had it for 4 years after the movie? Or before the movie?
No, before.
Oh,
the
okay,
movie.
just want to be clear, because people are going to ask that question for
Yeah,
sure.
because the car was in 1996. I bought it right here at Tustin Acura here in Orange County, and then the movie came out in 2001, was it? So I had it for like 4 years, and the deal was that we made with Bill Newman at Newspeed up in Camarillo was that we'll build it and we'll immediately take it and put it in his booth at the SEMA show in Vegas.
Yeah, that thing was a fixture. I remember seeing it every year. And so this is a whole nother generation now getting excited about it. So it's got to make you feel good that you were a part of that. Right. So does that come up in conversation with friends like, well, Bill here had the Integra, Ja Rule's car in the movie. What are those conversations like?
Yeah, I have several friends that know I had the car and know that I had this movie car, and so that every once in a while I ask, where's the car, what's it doing, and you know, it's just, and what's really exciting, we were in the first of the Fast and the Furious movies, so we were there from the beginning. We didn't continue on through all the others, but you were there for the very first one, and that's what's really important.
And you can never get that back because
No.
that's the OG baby, the original gangster.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So.
Was there any nitrous on your car?
No.
There's no nitrous on this car. You hear this? There was no turbocharger on the car. Tell everybody.
There was no turbocharger. Again, other than some cams and the headers and a few parts like that, the engine was stock. It was still extremely fast, but I didn't go to nitrous or turbocharging because I still wanted to be able to drive it on the street.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it was a high revving motor and it sounded great. It was just, it was indicative of what we see at the car show scene. Some of the other kids did some crazy stuff on the cars. And of course, those cars mostly don't exist anymore. They've been sold multiple times over. Right. All right, Bill, thanks so much, man. That has been great.
You're welcome, Craig. I'm glad to share my experience with you and give you a little information about the car personally. Thank you very much for having me.
Great to see you again, man. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're liking the videos I've been producing, please be sure to subscribe and share them with your friends. Thanks again, everybody. Talk to you next time.